Please help me, I need 120 subscribers. I never thought the end of my marriage would reveal itself in such a quiet, merciless way. There was no shouting match, no damning text message, no tearful confession. It happened on an ordinary Thursday evening as the sun slipped behind the skyline. I was walking home from work when I stopped dead in front of a small cafe. Through the glass, I saw Emily, my wife. She was smiling, radiant, alive, in a way I hadn't witnessed in months. But the smile wasn't for me. It was for the man sitting across from her, tall, maybe in his early 40s, leaning in so close it felt like the world had shrunk down to just the two of them. And then came the moment that tore me apart. Emily reached across the table, brushing her fingers against his, and when he stood to embrace her, she folded into his arms like she had once folded into mine. My lungs locked. My chest caved in. I didn't storm inside or demand answers. I simply turned and walked away, each step heavier than the last. By the time I reached our house, my hands were trembling. I sat in the living room staring at the wedding photo on the wall. The Emily in that picture laughing, full of promise. The Emily in the cafe looked like she had given those promises to someone else. When she came home later that night, I couldn't bring myself to confront her. She kissed my cheek, asked about my day, and moved around the house as though nothing was wrong. I gave her clipped answers, all the while haunted by the image of her in that man's arms. Days passed. I grew colder. At night, I turned away and pretended to be asleep. At meals, I let silence do the talking. Inside I was screaming. Why him? Why not me anymore? A week later, I finally broke. I packed a small bag, left a note on the counter. I saw you. I can't do this anymore. And walked out the door. That first night away blurred into nothing. I checked into a cheap hotel and stared at the ceiling until dawn. My phone lit up with calls and texts from Emily, but I ignored them all. What was there left to say? She had made her choice. The next evening, just as I was about to leave the hotel for some air, there was a knock. When I opened the door, Emily stood there, no makeup, eyes swollen from crying, clutching my note. You saw me, she whispered, her voice unsteady. And you think it was what it looked like? I turned away. I don't need excuses, Emily. I saw enough. But she stepped inside, shut the door, and wouldn't let it go. Please, just hear me out. That man, his name is Daniel. He's my brother's best friend. He's been helping me with something I didn't know how to tell you. I let out a bitter laugh. Helping you? By holding you like that? By making you smile like you haven't smiled with me in years? Her eyes filled with tears. I was smiling because, for the first time in weeks, I felt a little hope. Daniel is a therapist. I went to him because I didn't know how to talk to you about us. I was afraid of losing you completely. I froze. A therapist? Yes, she whispered. I was terrified, James. You've been so distant. Every night you turned away. Every day you withdrew further. I thought I was failing you. I thought you didn't love me anymore. That hug, it wasn't romance. It was comfort because I had just admitted how scared I was. Her words crashed over me. I had been so sure of betrayal that I never considered another explanation. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked, my voice breaking. Because you already seemed so far away, she said through tears. I thought I was the problem. The truth hit me hard. I had been bleeding from what I thought I saw, but in my silence, I had been wounding her too. We sat together on the edge of the bed. Two broken people who hadn't spoken their truths in far too long. She reached for my hand, her grip trembling. James, I don't want anyone else. Not now, not ever. I want us. But we can't keep pretending everything's fine. We need help. For the first time in weeks, I really looked into her eyes. Not the eyes of a woman I believed was giving herself to another man, but the eyes of the woman who once vowed to stand by me forever. And in them I saw fear, love, and hope. Desperate hope that we weren't too late. I thought it was over, I admitted. And I thought you didn't want me anymore, she whispered. But maybe this is our chance to choose each other again. The days that followed weren't easy. We sat in counseling sessions, cracked open our pain, and had conversations that left us raw but lighter. We confronted what we'd been avoiding. That marriage can die not only from affairs but from silence, from distance, from walls built out of fear. Slowly, painfully, we began to find our way back. I'll never forget that night when Emily came after me, refusing to let me walk away believing a lie. I thought I had witnessed the end of my marriage through a cafe window. But in truth, that moment was the beginning of something else, the reckoning we desperately needed. Our marriage didn't end that day. In a way, it started over. Because sometimes, you have to stand on the edge of losing everything to finally fight for what matters most.